Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Thorogood hosted webinar, What's New with Databricks. Thank you for taking the time to join us from wherever in the world you may be. My name is Alistair Jones, and I'm a data and analytics consultant with Thorogood Associates. I'm joined today by my fellow data and analytics consultant, Fernando Takashi. Our contact details can be found on the slide. I'm also responsible for much of our partnering with Databricks, so feel free to reach out and contact us if you have any additional questions. By way of an agenda for today's session, I'll start by kind of providing an introduction to Thorogood as well as an overview of some of the key updates at a high level, what's new in the Databricks platform. My colleague Fernando will then do a deep dive into some of these new features that are being released. We'll provide a bit of a synopsis and overview of key takeaways, and then end with a bit of a call to action and explain how Thorogood can help with your Databricks or other data and analytics related needs. So I'll start by providing some context as to who we are at Thorogood. We're a data and analytics specialist consultancy. We work closely with Databricks, and I'll get onto that in a moment. But we're also independent, so we work with a host of the key kind of vendors in our space. We're a consultancy, and that means that we take a business-focused approach to whatever initiatives we're delivering for customers, locking onto their business goals and marrying that with our deep kind of understanding of the technical possibilities. We operate globally. I'm joining you from London, where we're headquartered. We also have offices in Sao Paulo, where Fernando is joining from. We offer a whole range of services to our customers. The bulk of what we do is application design and development, but that informs our ability to do other things such as strategies and roadmaps, maybe highlighting what's new and could be valuable on a platform like Databricks or training on a platform like Databricks. So please feel free to reach out if any of that would be of more interest. I mentioned that we're independent in terms of technologies we partner with. We partner with Databricks, but we also partner with other key vendors in the space, and that includes the three major cloud platforms of Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. We hold kind of different levels of standing with each of those different organizations, and we have numerous consultants across the organization who are certified on the use of the services and tools within those platforms. But Databricks is core and central to a lot of what we do, and Databricks is now available on all three of those major clouds. Okay, so now let's jump into what's new at a high level. So this is actually a slide that's pulled from Ali Ghodsi, that's Databricks' co-founder and CEO's keynote at the Data and AI Summit a month or so ago in San Francisco. That summit was also referred to as Destination Lakehouse. As that name and this slide would suggest, Data Lake and the Lakehouse paradigm, so Delta Lake and their conceptualization of it, is kind of central to Databricks' position in the market and their vision for the future. The Lakehouse allows you to consolidate data in one platform to streamline workflows, break down silos between different areas of your business, and kind of drive the adoption of modern data and analytics kind of offerings. While Lakehouse was core and central to a lot of what was shared at the summit and a lot of what's new, it's not exclusively about Lakehouse for Databricks. There are a number of updates in other areas. Of course, one key tenet of Databricks now is kind of outlined at the bottom of the slide here. Databricks is multi-cloud enabled and available on the three kind of core major cloud vendors. It also has announced updates to other various areas, and we'll get into those as I drive through some additional slides, and we'll deep dive into some of those specific pieces of functionality and features. So updates at a glance, effectively there are updates to major areas of the platform, including Spark, data streaming, data lakehouse, of course, Destination Lakehouse being the theme of the summit, data governance, data engineering, and data science and machine learning. On the following slides, I've kind of grouped some of a more detailed view of these updates logically into these different areas and categorizations. So in terms of Lakehouse and data governance updates, Delta Lake 2.0 was announced. With that brings the open sourcing of all Delta-related APIs. Delta sharing and data cleanrooms are two topics that we'll delve into in more detail. Fernando will do a bit of an explanation walkthrough of those, but generally provide sharing of data across sort of disparate data platforms that you can begin to unify your data. Databricks Marketplace allows for vendors to make data products seamlessly available. And a major update that was announced that probably is worthy of a more detailed deep dive is Unity Catalog. This is a data governance solution available on top of the Lakehouse, offers some neat features and functionality like pretty intuitive views of data lineage, for example. Then in terms of, with respect to data engineering and streaming, some updates include Spark Connect, so that essentially allows a thin client to leverage Spark from a number of devices. The keynote demo was on leveraging kind of Spark from an iPad. Project Lightspeed is an initiative to bring certain things to the streaming offered on the Databricks platform, so predictable low latency, enhanced functionality for processing data, improving support for different connectors, simplifying deployment, etc. In fact, streaming was an area that saw pretty substantial growth in terms of workloads over the last year, over, I think, double the number of workloads year on year. So something that's getting a lot more attention. Delta Live Tables is another topic that we'll delve into in a bit more detail, but effectively it allows for the more seamless development and helps you to kind of streamline the development of data pipelines. Photon allows for faster, cheaper querying on data stored in your Lakehouse. And finally, Workflows is what's referred to technically as Databricks Workflows, a fully managed orchestration service that's deeply integrated with the Databricks Lakehouse platform. So as opposed to using maybe an external orchestration tool like Azure Data Factory, you could leverage Databricks Workflows. Finally, in the realm of data science and machine learning, Databricks announced MLflow 2.0, and with it comes MLflow pipelines. Again, probably a topic worthy of more elaboration, but for today's session, this is something that we're just going to cover at a high level. But effectively, pipelines allow you to reduce effort and friction, productionizing and scaling your machine learning workloads. And really, it uses these kind of predefined production-ready templates and pipelines that you can input your relevant information configuration code into and scale up more quickly. So that's MLflow 2.0 and the introduction of MLflow pipelines. So those were the updates sort of at a glance across the different areas in which Databricks kind of operates and focuses. But now what we're going to do is share a bit more detail on some of these areas. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Fernando, who's going to discuss some of these topics in more detail.
So now let's deep dive in a few of the topics that Alistair mentioned, and we'll start with data sharing. Let's start by looking at how things are done today. Data vendors store their data systems and share it with their customers. And this is great, as long as your company always buys from the same one vendor and adopts similar structures, storage models, and programming languages. And this was probably great when big data emerged, but over time, multiple vendors emerged with different technologies and querying languages. So companies nowadays acquire data from multiple providers with multiple different systems. And ideally, what the industry wants is for the data to be easy to consume, but now it's hard to consume and a nightmare to manage 10 connections securely. And the tech has also really changed. Back in the day, the only ways you could talk to these systems was languages like JDBC and SQL. But today there is a plethora of data sources, video, audio, and other data files that you need to access. And SQL is still the only language to talk to this data and language from the pre-big data era. And it's really not built for this kind of structured and semi-structured data, where Python has really become the main language. So as a result, the community is stuck. And what data sharing offers is a way to connect all the data stores and all the data types with language flexibility to allow data practitioners to use the tools that they prefer. The data sharing changes the game, being, as Databricks puts it, an open protocol for secure real-time exchange of large data sets, which enables secure data sharing across products for the first time. And under the hood, that means that data sharing requires only two parties, being the data provider and the data recipient. The data provider can easily post their data to a Delta Lake, where the data recipient can request and access the data directly via an access token. And that means that all that is needed to share data without replication between systems is a data sharing server responsible for processing requests and granting access to data. This process can take place without worrying about proprietary lock-in, being also not restricted to a specific language as SQL or Python. It also includes, for who are familiar in the field, full support for data science applications. Additionally, they also have thoroughly thought about data security and easy management of its compliance. These advancements also bring innovation to the table, not only for data recipients, but for data providers. And that is where the cleanrooms come in. Usually, the data provider stores the data within their storage systems and send over the sold data to the data users, who replicate the data in their own clouds. This means that from the point where the provider sends the data, they lose control over it, not being able to know what is being done with their data. And that can be changed with data sharing and cleanrooms, where participants can securely share data from their data lakes with other participants without any data replication across clouds or regions. And this means that your data stays with you and is not locked into any platform. And additionally, cleanrooms participants can centrally audit and monitor the usage of their data by the data recipient. And providers, including AWS, Nasdaq, FactSet, Standard & Poor's, and others have announced that they will make over 1,000 data sets accessible through data sharing. Additionally, Microsoft, Google, Tableau, Starburst, and many others have announced that they will integrate support into their products. And lastly, on our deep dive section, I would like to talk about a very interesting topic, data live tables. It is a declarative ETL, which can greatly help organizations improve on a topic that has been getting increasing importance, the data streaming and real-time data flows. Let's start by talking about why the declarative aspect of it is so interesting. So let's start with a simple example. Imagine you need to go from points A to B. I could give you, for example, step-by-step directions, stating each left and right turns you had to take to reach your destination. And in a normal day, you would probably reach your destination. But what if there was a roadblock, or if you wanted to know if there was a better route? The instructions will really fall short. Maybe a smarter way to do it would be to use a GPS, where I can simply specify the points A and B, and the GPS will calculate the best route, and even calculate the new ones in case there are any mistakes or problems along the route. And this is really how different the declarative approach is from a procedural approach. You can say that the step-by-step inflexible instructions follow a procedural approach, while the GPS follows a declarative one. And this applies to data with Delta Live tables. With this new feature, you can easily define, or in other words, declare your tables in this declarative ETL, and define also some rules for their relationships. Say you have 6 tables in total, one with unprocessed data, 2 silver tables with a little bit processed, and golden tables, which are your final data sets. The system will define the best path to process each of them with the optimal compute efficiency. As a bonus, you also get a graphical representation of the flow. Now, to make it a little more clear, I would like to also give you a quick demo about Delta Live tables. Let's switch over to Databricks, and let's start by coding a little bit. Setting up your Delta Live tables is as easy as programming in standard SQL. You can start by simply typing create live table, define a name for the table. For example, you could be getting some weather data. As select all, and then you can type in your location. In this example, I am using Autoloader, which is a feature from Databricks, which allows you to stream data and use Delta to its best functionality, and only keep the records of the data you already read, and read only the new data whenever you need. I have here already a notebook which is ready, containing some tables. As you see, I am defining the tables as before, and pointing to a location in our company's LDLS. As you see, I'm only defining the tables and some rules between them. I'm not defining any path or data flow stream. If I, for example, run this query, sorry, it will tell me that this is a Delta Live table query. It's syntactically valid, but you must create a pipeline in order to define and populate your table. So let's create the pipeline. To do that, you can easily hit Workflows, over to the Delta Live Tables tab, and create a new pipeline. I have mine created, so let's switch to that. You can easily link your Delta Live Tables pipeline to a notebook, which I've linked to the notebook you just saw, and hit Start or Full Refresh. It will take a few seconds to load on the first few times you do it, but since I've already done that, it's going to be a little quicker. And as you will see in a second, it will define the paths between the tables that I set without me specifying what was the best path. This is really like a GPS. You have point A, and you have to take a few turns in order to reach your final table. Let me take you through what I did here. So the first table is a full weather report, which contains data for both Brazil and the United States data. I'm first separating in two tables, which I have defined back there in Databricks SQL for the US data and the Brazilian data. And I have a fourth table, which contains some aircraft locations. I am here in this interaction joining both tables for aircraft locations and Brazilian weather reports to create my golden final table, which indicates if there are any aircraft nearby some weather conditions that I have defined here. Thank you for the demo, and I'll hand over back to my colleague, Alistair.
So I'm going to wrap up our presentation today with kind of our key takeaways, what this means moving forward, and a bit of a call to action and how Thorogood may be able to assist your organization with anything that we've discussed or covered or anything tangential to it. So key takeaways, Databricks in 2022 and beyond. I think one of the things that should have become evident through the course of this presentation is that Databricks is becoming an ever more complete platform. So we spoke about all the areas that they're addressing with their updates, be it the lakehouse, core to the kind of core pillar of what they're driving, just the build here, or data science, data engineering, data governance. All of these areas are being considered as Databricks evolves, and they remain an open firm. So a lot of what they're producing remains open sourced and for the kind of community to access, develop, enhance, and kind of come to grips with. So again, Lakehouse, Destination Lakehouse being the theme for their flagship summit, kind of says it all. That's the future state vision, and a lot of the positioning of Databricks is now relative to all the other vendors in the space that are touting their own Lakehouse vision. So Lakehouse has become a category unto itself. And finally, something key that was mentioned early on, but is important to kind of remember when speaking about Databricks, is that it's multi-cloud with an ever-increasing ecosystem of integrations and partnerships. I think Fernando spoke to some of the integrations partnerships that Databricks has. It's available on the 3 major clouds. You've got data governance front-end tools that integrate well with Databricks. So it's open, it's multi-cloud, and it's well integrated. So it can fit nicely in anyone's kind of data platform or environment. Finally, a call to action, how we can help at Thorogood. Well, we know Databricks well. We partner with Databricks. We have done for 4 or more years now. We can help with any kind of area with respect to Databricks or data and analytics more broadly. We offer services in exploratory analytics, scaling that with ML ops or thinking about DevOps to continuously integrate and deploy and enhance solutions. We can help with productionization of systems that may be on a smaller scale, maybe POCs. We can help define analytics architectures that tap into some advanced functionality. We can help with data democratization, making data accessible to more users, and then empowering users as well. We can help companies that are embarking on multi-cloud strategies. So now many companies are in the cloud. Many are looking for flexibility and the freedom that they get from being multi-cloud. We can help with that and analytics strategies more broadly. I just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. It's been a pleasure kind of pulling together some of this content on what's new in Databricks. We hope you found it a useful investment of your time, and we hope to see you at a future Thorogood workshop or webinar. Thank you very much.